Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I have a stationery essentials / stationery review video. I'll be talking about my favorite bullet journal supplies, some great alternatives for like popular supplies, and personally what I would, cut my collection down to if it was just the essentials. So yeah, let's get started with notebooks. The most important thing in bullet journaling is a journal. So here are the past 5 journals that I've used. And we're going to start off with this Muji spiral notebook in a second. Boom. I would say this is the top choice in terms of value. I would say it's like $10 to $13 Canadian, I think, at Muji. It's a A5 spiral notebook. It's got really smooth, like, white paper with the dot grid. It is a little bit thin, but personally, I don't mind it that much. So, if you don't like thin like pages and ghosting, then don't get this notebook. But I would say best value for money, great quality. It's got this like coal pocket and the elastic. However, I think the pocket version did get discontinued, so it does have, like, they have the version without the pocket, which is still, I think, excellent value. Next up, we have Leuchtturms. These have been pretty popular. They've been around for years in the bullet journal world, and they are a little bit more on the pricey end. This one is a hardcover A5 dotted journal from Leuchtturm as well, and it's got slightly more off-white, like yellowish pages, which are also thin, smooth, and fountain pen friendly, which is like a huge bonus for me personally because I love fountain pens. They do have some ghosting, so if you don't like ghosting, this is not for you. And they retail for around 25 CAD or something like that, or like 25 USD. So it is a little bit more pricey. This one is the Leuchtturm A6, exactly the same but small. This one I think retails for around 15 USD, so it is quite expensive and not as accessible for people. But they do have that classic bullet journal look, the hardcover, the elastic, the ribbons, and they're very simple, and they come in a lot of nice cover colors. Like, there's a great selection of colors. Next up, we have Notebook Therapy's bullet journal line. Disclaimer, both of these were sent to me for free, and I've been using them since. The right side one is the Tsuki Classic bullet journal, which is slightly smaller than A5. It's got these white pages, the dots, everything. The bonus of these journals is that they are super thick pages, like 160 GSM, big and take, watercolor, gouache, markers, everything, with like virtually no bleed through. They can't take fountain pens super well, but I would say the trade-off is pretty great to be able to use markers like a lot without bleeding. And I would say, pretty decent value. They were sent to me for free. They're about $25 like USD, but for the thickness of the pages and free shipping, I think it's pretty okay. It's definitely not my top pick in value, like, because the Muji one I would say is best value, but these also have some really cute cover designs, and yeah, pretty great. Next up, pens. Super important for bullet journaling because you use them to write. We're going to start off with the basic black pens for everyday writing and filling out my bullet journal. I use these to like write tasks and stuff. This is the Zebra Sarasa gel pen in 0.4 millimeters with a special Rilakuma print. Got this for like $2 at Daiso. Really cheap, great value. I don't use the clip very much, but it's alright. It's fun to fiddle with, I guess. And the Muji gel pen. This one is new. I didn't realize I picked like a new one for the video, but I have used them, so don't worry. Honestly, virtually identical. Like, the Muji one's a little bit thicker, but they do sell a .38, I think. But like, they literally do the same thing. Just pick any black pen you want. These are just the ones I use, but I could literally use any other one. And yeah. Next up, Pilot fountain pens. Not an essential, but honorary mention because I like fountain pens. I just think they're neat and they're fun to use. These ones are the Pilot Kakuno fountain pens, which are great for beginners. They're around $15 Canadian, and they're super cute because they have a smiley face on the nib. The great thing about fountain pens is you can use like many different kinds of inks with them, and they write really smoothly. But, that's for a different video. Let me know if you want to see a fountain pen video, because I have a lot to talk about. This is a Pilot Namiki black fountain pen ink that I use. I got this bottle like 2 years ago and I've barely made a dent in it. So a little bit of ink goes a long way when it comes to fountain pens. Here's a bit of a writing sample. As you can see, the fountain pen's like a little bit thicker than the zebra one. So I guess out of the three, I would probably use the zebra one the most often because it's portable. I'm not afraid of like losing it or damaging it. And as you can see from the results of this like smudge test, pen test, the zebra one does hold up the best. I think for Muji, you can highlight over it after like a day. You gotta let it dry before you highlight over it, but it will, I think, or at least with my past experience with Muji. I don't know if their formula changed or anything, and I would probably just recommend highlighting and then writing over it. It is kind of annoying to do that, but I've gotten used to it. But that's the best way to avoid smudging in general. So, yeah. Next up, we have Fineliners, which you'll see in a sec. I use Fineliners for most of my drawing and illustration in my journal, and I think the most important thing for a fineliner is waterproofness. These are Sakura Pigma Microns. They are super popular. Lots of people use these. They are pretty pricey, I think, and they come in lots of different tip sizes. You can only get these, or actually, I've seen them at like craft stores mostly, but they come in a variety of sizes, and they are waterproof, but you have to let them dry first. So keep that in mind. This is my favorite like fineliner, the Sharpie fineliner pen, because you could literally get it's literally the exact same thing. It's waterproof, except it's cheap. It comes in like packs of 3. They are super cheap, and I've literally like gone through like 3 of them, more than 3 of them probably. And as you can see in this writing test in a second, it is quite similar to the thickness of the 03 Pigma Micron. And it's not as dark, I will admit, like it's not as like pure like black ink, but if you don't fill in like huge areas, you won't notice the difference. Also, like I would say it holds up a lot better on like the initial smudge test. So for the Pigma Microns, you have to let them dry first for a bit, otherwise they'll smudge. But the Sharpie pen did great right off the bat, no smudging whatsoever. So between these two, I would totally pick Sharpie fineliner pen. Next up, we have pencils. A pencil is an essential, but these pencils are not. Like, you could literally pick whatever pencil you like. I literally just picked these because I thought they looked nice. They do have some bonuses. This Zebra Delgard pencil has this really cool like spring mechanism inside that you can kind of see, where it stops you from breaking the lead. If you press really hard with your pencil and it keeps breaking the lead, that pencil's for you because it'll like retract the lead. This is the Uni Kuratoga pencil. I'm not gonna lie, I just picked it because there was Rilakuma on it. It's got this like rotating mechanism that keeps your lead sharp, but I haven't found that to be particularly like useful / impressive. Next up, these are like the absolute like basics. It's like random daiso lead. I just pick whatever lead I find when I run out. And this is a triangle glue stick, like it's triangular. I thought it would be more useful, like the shape, in terms of shape, but honestly, I just use it as if it was like a circle. Like I still have to be kind of careful with the corners, but it's all right, I guess. This is whiteout, huge essential. Just pick whatever whiteout you have. Great for covering up mistakes. And then an eraser, also totally random. I don't really have like a specific brand that I like a lot. I just kind of just use up the erasers that I have. Next up, black brush pens. These aren't like that essential, but I use them quite a lot in my journal. And by no means do you have to own all 3. These are the Zebra disposable brush pen, the Tombow fudenosuke brush pen in hard tip. It's also available in soft tip, and a Pentel Fude Touch brush pen. So these are the 3 that I own, but I would definitely recommend just pick 1 or 2. Like you don't need all 3. I would probably pick Tombow. I would reach for the Tombow most often, mostly because it's waterproof, which you'll see in a bit. But I also really like the other 2. So we'll just see in the second. So the Tombow hard tip, it's much thinner and like more rigid, so you don't get as much line variation, but it is really easy to control. The Zebra brush pen is a lot softer, so you get more variation, but it's harder to control. And I would say the Pentel Fude Touch is like a nice in-between. It was like my first brush pen, which I would say is great for beginners. But here's the problem, which you'll see in a second when we get to the smudge test. The Tombow does great, no smudging. The Zebra, surprisingly, also no smudging, but the Pentel does smudge. So if I were to recommend one, I would say the Tombow, because it's great for beginners and waterproof, or the Zebra, because you can get nice line variation and it's also waterproof. I just care a lot about waterproofness, okay? Next up, mildliner, like highlighters. I guess mostly mildliners. These are super popular in the, bullet journal studygram community. And, some people say they're overhyped. They are a little overhyped, but I also really like them. This is my favorite pack and my 3 favorite colors, the red, yellow, blue. And they come with the chisel tip on one end and the bullet tip on the other end. I probably use these the most often in terms of like bullet journaling and stuff. I use these way more than like Tombows or Crayolas, and I think they're pretty neat. But what's even better are these Daiso soft marking pens, fake mildliners, straight up. I think these are super great value. You can get like 5 for $2 at Daiso, which is a Japanese dollar store. It's got only the plain chisel tip, but you can get some pretty good line variation on it anyway. It also comes in the pastel colors, but I don't like those very much. I kind of regret buying those ones. Here's a color swatch. As you can see, the Daiso markers in the middle are pretty much, they're not the same as the Mildliner warm pack, but it is the same as the cool pack, I think, minus like the purple. Like the red, green, blue, and gray are pretty much exact copies. And then the 2 yellows are the same as well. So highly recommend if you don't want to buy mildliners. These are super cheap, great alternative. The pastel ones, not really, because they're too neon for me. Next up, Tombow brush pens. Not an essential, and to be honest, a little bit overhyped, at least for me. I don't reach for them that much. I initially just bought the secondary pack on the left, and then I bought those 3 on the right. But if I were to just pick out the colors I use, you'll see in a second, I'll just pull them out. I don't use like half of my Tombows. And that's why I kind of like recommend buying single markers versus packs, because you'll end up just pick colors that you'll actually use. And, rather than buying like 10 and only using 5 of them. Tombows, as you know, have a thick brush tip on one end and then a thin bullet tip on the other end. They are really great brush pens, but they are pretty expensive. It's like $30 for 10 of them, in Canadian dollars at least. So that's why I wouldn't recommend them for beginners that much. But, you get some great calligraphy with them. You get some nice line variation. They have some really nice colors out there. So sometimes, like, if you really want the specific shade of blue that you can only get on a Tombow, you might have to just get a Tombow. I also recommend storing them horizontally if you do own them to prevent them from drying out. Next up, Crayola Super Tips. Now these are where it's at. I own the pack of 20, which I got for like $2.50 Canadian at Walmart. You can get them in packs of 50 or 100 for like $10, which I would say is like infinitely better value than the Tombows. They have really great color selection, and as you will see in a second, they basically work almost the same, like in almost the same way. Now, I don't do any high-level calligraphy, but for like my purposes at least, they function the same way. Here's a little color comparison and like line comparison. These were the closest matches I could come up with in my collection, but I would say they're really, really similar. So highly recommend Crayola Super Tips. You'll see in a second here, it's like a live demo of, the brush pens in action. The Crayola Super Tips are not actually brush pens, but they work the same. You'll literally see in a second. I was like, man, these are great. So if you do like serious like high level calligraphy, then sure, get Tombow brush pens, but if you just like to draw and color stuff like me, just get Crayolas. You don't need Tombows really. Next up, white gel pens. These are really great for covering up mistakes or having like nice accents. This is a Uni Signo Alpha gel pen and a Sakura Jelly Roll gel pen. Personally, I would recommend the Uni Alpha one more, because the coverage and like opacity is a lot better, as you can see in the swatch right here. So yeah, I know some people do get some really nice jelly rolls, but I guess mine's just bad. these I would say, so okay, here are some great alternatives. So on the left side, we have the like more popular, mainstream, expensive one, and then on the right, we have the cheaper alternative, which is like more accessible, and I would say will save you money. So going through the list from left to right, we've got the Sakura Pigma Micron, which can be replaced by the Sharpie, for fineliners at least. Then for highlighters, we have the Zebra Mildliner, which can be replaced by the Daiso one. Then brush pens, we've got the Tombow fudenosuke, which you can replace with the Zebra, and the Tombow brush pen, which can be replaced by the Crayola. Now, if I were to just pare down my entire collection to just a few pens and like never use anything else ever again, it would just be these. Because really, you don't need anything special or fancy like washi tape, calligraphy pens, or like stickers to make a bullet journal. They will make it look nice. I like to draw in mine because it's, you know, creative and it's fun. But you really don't need that to get organized, because that's really what bullet journaling is about. It's about being organized and being productive. So, you know, you don't need that many things to be productive in your bullet journal. And basically, whatever works for you. If you want to use a lot of stuff, use a lot of stuff. And if you don't want to use a lot of stuff, you don't have to use a lot of stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys liked hearing about my essentials. If anything, I'll probably try to pare down my stationery collection even more by giving some of it away or using it up. And I'll probably try not to buy anything this year, really. So yeah, please let me know what you guys think. Let me know if there's anything you want to hear me talk about, or if there's anything you'd like to see. And I hope you really enjoyed, you know, walking through some of my favorite stationery items. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please check me out on Instagram, TikTok, Etsy, all at lexiesdesk, which is on the screen right now. Stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, and yeah, have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.